Okay, can you see the slides too?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now we'll start. Okay,
So
we'll
it
discuss.
um,
Okay, we'll discuss about the gene and genetic code, about the nucleotides, DNA, RNA. We have already studied. Yes, yes or no?
yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And I suppose about the gene also you have already studied, and we'll go into more details in genetic code. Okay, what do you understand by gene? Anybody? What do you understand by gene? What is gene?
Functional unit of chromosome.
Functional unit. And what do you understand by functional unit?
That codes for certain protein.
Okay, it has to code. It always has to code for protein, or sometimes it can code only for RNA.
For
For
RNA,
all
protein, everything.
everything. That means RNA ultimately gives rise to protein. Is it true?
Yes, sir, through translation.
In all the cases, RNA gives rise to protein.
Yes, sir, translation is needed for protein synthesis.
No, no. Sometimes RNA themselves are functional or not. Have you got any examples? Hmm?
So no, not every time.
Not every time. Sometimes RNA themselves can be active
Yes, sir.
because
Reverse
most
chain
Yes,
of
sir.
control.
no, no, because most of the time DNA gives RNA, and from RNA protein is synthesized. Yes, and they are the functional ones. Used do lot of functions in our body, but every time RNA is converted to proteins. Is it true?
No, sir.
No. In which case RNA is not converted into proteins?
tRNA.
Okay, in the case of tRNA, rRNA, isn't it? Those
Yes,
RNA
sir.
themselves are active. Okay. Okay, a specific sequence of nucleotides in DNA or RNA that controls the transmission and expression of one or more traits by specifying the structure of RNA or protein. That's why we have written here in the full definition specifying the structure of RNA or protein. We have not only said as the protein, but simply we can say the basic unit of heredity. We all know that from DNA, RNA is formed, and RNA in eukaryotic case it goes to the cytoplasm, and in the cytoplasm we are talking about the mRNA. From mRNA, proteins are synthesized. Yes. Well, RNA is formed in the nucleus. It is formed as mRNA, tRNA, and ribosomal RNA themselves, or some precursor molecule is formed there. Any type
Precursor
of
molecule.
what is the name?
Heterogeneous, heterogeneous RNA.
Okay, heterogeneous. Okay, heterogeneous nuclear RNA is found. Okay, we are talking about the gene, and this gene consists of promoter sequence, coding sequence, and the terminator sequence. Because there should be some promoter factors uh, to start transcription, and after that the coding sequence, and later there should be the termination. And this is the structure of the gene in a brief view. You can see the introns and exons, and you know that later on these introns will be removed, and only the exons will be accumulated in a process known as splicing, and resulting in the formation of the mature RNA, mature mRNA, and from this mature mRNA, protein would be synthesized. Okay. Only I am focusing that in the gene, we have been telling that gene is the structural unit of heredity or the structural unit of DNA, and in that gene it consists of promoter as well as the terminator, as well as the sequence, that is the RNA coding sequence. In that RNA coding sequence also, there can be exon, introns, and later on these introns will be deleted by the process of splicing, and only the exons will be aggregated, giving rise to mature transcript, that is mRNA. And this mRNA will give rise to the proteins. The process we'll study in our later classes. Okay, organization of DNA in the nucleus. We know that DNA is associated with the proteins known as histone proteins. When we start drawing the structure of DNA, we simply draw the double helical structure, and that double helical structure is actually only the naked structure of DNA. And in the nucleus, DNA does not exist in that form. That means it is not in that form in which we draw like the naked DNA, but it is associated with the proteins known as histones. That's why there are certain terms also known as sorry known as DNA, chromosome, chromatin. DNA is associated with the proteins, and this nucleoprotein is known as chromatin. DNA is associated with the proteins, especially the basic charge proteins, and this nucleoprotein DNA along with the proteins is known as chromatin. And this chromatin, during the period of cell division, um, they arrange into pairs of chromosomes. In our case, 23 pair of chromosomes, and that is known as the chromosome. And that means the arrangement during the cell division. That entity is chromosome. DNA is the whole thing, chromatin. DNA along with protein is the chromatin, and that chromatin, which is arranged into pairs during cell division, they are the chromosomes. Okay. Organization of DNA in the nucleus. DNA is associated with basic proteins called histones in the eukaryotic case, and in the prokaryotic case also, DNA is associated with the proteins, but other types of protein. That protein is not the histone protein, but other types of protein. They are associated with the proteins in case of prokaryotes also. DNA is associated with the basic proteins called histones, and these are the types of histones. As you can see, H1, H2A, H2B, H3, and H4. These are the types of histone. Histones are positive charged at physiologic pairs due to their high content of arginine and lysine, as they contain high um, proportion of arginine and lysine. That means high amount of arginine and lysine are present in these histone proteins. DNA, due to the presence of phosphate, it is negatively charged, and that negative charge has to be neutralized, and this is neutralized by association with the proteins known as the histones. These histones are the basic proteins, and this is due to the presence of arginine and lysine. Therefore, these histone proteins, they have the high affinity for DNA, which is negatively charged molecule. Two molecules each of H2A, two molecules of H2B, two molecules of H3, and two molecules of H4. These are the four types of histone. These two molecules, H2A, these two molecules, H2B, these two molecules, H3, and these two molecule, H4. And with the help of these four different types of histones, they form a octamer. They form a octamer complex, and in this octamer complex, around 146 base pair of nucleotides are present. If we start from here, isn't it? This has to go round from the back side, and this again from the back side, and this. Okay, this is the nucleosome. That means two molecules of S2A, S2B, S3, and S4. This is the octamer. This octamer complex, along with 146 base pairs of nucleotide, is known as nucleosome core. This forms the nucleosome core. That means we have been saying that DNA is associated with the proteins or the basic proteins known as histones. But how it is associated, we have no idea. It is associated by forming a octamer. And this octamer, along with 146 base pair of DNA, that is the nucleotide, is known as the nucleosome core. These nucleosomes are joined by linker DNA forming polynucleosome. They looks like beads and string, as you can see This is the H1 histone H1. We have talked about 5 different types of histone. 4 different types are within this octamer, and one is the linker one. That is the histone H1. H1 binds to the linker chain between the beads. This is one nucleosome. This is the other nucleosome. This is the other nucleosome, and this is the linker. And in this linker, there is H1 present. However, H2A, H2B, H3, and H4, two molecules each are present in this octamer complex. Okay. Now you can see that this is the naked DNA which we simply draw. Actually, in the nucleus, DNA exists as a nucleoprotein known as chromatin, and that chromatin, how it forms is with the formation of this nucleosome, then they aggregate, and lastly chromatin is formed. We'll see one by one in our next slides. Okay, this is the histone core, octamer core. This is the binder in which H1 is present. Okay. Now let's see. This is the naked DNA. This is the nucleosome, and this nucleosome you can see they are arranged like this, resulting in the formation of nucleofilament. And this nuclear filament, along with the nuclear scaffold protein, they give rise to the chromosome or the chromatin in other stages. Naked DNA, this naked DNA, they bind with the basic proteins known as the histones, forming the octamer with 4 different types of histones, and the fifth type is between the octamer complex, and similarly nucleofilament is mm, formed, and with this nucleofilament, again with the help of nuclear scaffold protein, nucleochromatin or chromosome is formed. Chromatin consists of DNA and basic proteins called histone. This organizes into 23 pairs of chromosomes before cell division. Now this is the central dogma of molecular biology that we all know. Central dogma of molecular biology means central rule of molecular biology. DNA gives rise to RNA, and RNA gives rise to protein. Flow of information is always in this way. The flow of information from DNA to RNA to protein is termed as the central dogma or the central rule of molecular biology. It is descriptive of all organisms with the exception of some viruses that have RNAs as the repository of the genetic information. Except in the case of some RNA viruses, in other cases, DNA is the genetic material. DNA gives rise to RNA, and RNA gives rise to protein. And in the case of DNA to RNA also, mRNA, tRNA, ribosomal RNA, all types of RNA, but RNA to protein, this is only mRNA. However, the transfer RNA and the ribosomal RNA, they themselves participate in the protein synthesis. And these terms, we are familiar with these terms: replication, transcription, translation. Replication, we all know, a process in which the DNA copy itself, because during the cell division, cell has to divide, but before the cell divides into two, its genetic material should divide, and this genetic material division means actually the photocopying of the genetic material. The process is known as the replication. Before a cell divides into two daughter cells, it has to duplicate its nuclear content. That means the same hereditary characteristics has to be passed to each of the daughter cells. And to do so, first of all, it has to photocopy all the genetic material, all the DNA. It has to make a Xerox of all the DNA, and this process is known as replication. Okay. And transcription is a process in which RNA is synthesized from DNA. We know the terms. Translation means from RNA to proteins. Okay. Now we'll go to the genetic code. There is the process of replication, process of transcription, and process of translation. In the process of replication, one DNA molecule is formed from other DNA molecule. In transcription, RNA is formed from DNA, and in translation, protein is formed from RNA molecule. But this information is passed in the form of genetic code. Actually, this genetic code is the triplet codon. Information is passed in the form of genetic code. This genetic code is a triplet codon, named as the name from the purine and pyrimidine bases, and it is always read from 5' to 3' direction. 3 bases code for one amino acid. That's why it is known as the triplet codon. Nucleotide base sequence on DNA and subsequently on mRNA by transcription. Codon is composed of 3 bases nucleotide, we all know. Each codon is a sequence of 3 nucleotides which reads from 5' to 3' polarity. We always read the triplet codon from 5' to 3' polarity. If we read in the opposite polarity, then there will be no formation of the amino acids. Till the amino acid we talk about AUG, GGG. This all from 5' to 3' direction. Each codon is a sequence of nucleotides which reads from 5' to 3' polarity. That means always starting from the 5' we go towards the 3' polarity. We will study about the characteristics of this genetic code also, but you have to remember this is always read from 5' to 3' polarity. Each codon is translated into one amino acids. Codon translated sequence into amino acid protein to be synthesized. Okay, 4 nucleotide bases are there. 4 nucleotide bases are there: adenine, guanine, cytosine, and uracil in mRNA are used to produce these 3 base codons. That means the combination, how many combinations are possible from these 4 nucleotide bases? From these 4 nucleotide bases, how many triplets would be possible? 64 triplets will be possible. It is how there are 4 nucleotide bases and we have to prepare a triplet codon. That means for the first position, how many probabilities are there? Any 4, that means 4 probability, and in the second case also 4 probability, and in the third case also 4 probability. That means 4 multiplied by 4 multiplied by 4 is 4 4 16 into 4 64. That means there will be 64 codons. So code for the 20 amino acids. We have been studying that there are 20 amino acids, and those 20 amino acids are not the all amino acids we have, but those 20 amino acids are the standard amino acids which are coded by our gene. And for the coding those 20 amino acids, we have 4 nucleotide bases, 4 different nucleotide bases, and the information is passed as a genetic code, and that genetic code is a triplet codon. That means only three at a time. That means if we imagine one code, for example, AUG, if we imagine first code AUG, that means it is 3 letter, and in the A position, actually we had 4 alternatives. In the second position, U position also 4 alternatives. In the G position also we had 4 alternatives. However, we are taking one example. That's why 4 into 4 into 4 is 64. That's why there is the possibility of 64 codons. 64 codons can be formed from these 4 nucleotide bases. 64 triplet codons can be formed. If the codon will be only of, if the codons only would be only of 2 letters, then from these 4 nucleotide bases, then we'd have in the first position 4 and in the second position also 4. Only 64 different codons we'd have. But we know the codon is the triplet codon. That's why 64 different codons are possible for coding 20 amino acid. Since each codon code for only one amino acid, there may be more than one codon for the same amino acid, because we are saying that there are only 20 amino acids, or 20 standard amino acids, and to code 20 standard amino acids, we have 64 codons. That means one codon codes for more than one amino acids. Yes, no. To code for one amino acids, there are more than one codons. But one codon cannot code for more than one amino acid. But to code one amino acid, there can be more than one codon. Okay, now let's see this table. Okay, are you hearing me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, can you see the slide also?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Now we are discussing about the triplet codon or the genetic code. Triplet codon means 3 position. Now um, this this side, it indicates the first position. That means first position means out of 4 U, C, A and G. This can be the first position. Now this is the second position, all 4, and this is explained in the third position. Now let's see an example. This can be first position U, second position U, third position U. And in here, first position U, second position U, third position is C. And here, first position U, second position U, third position is A. Similarly, 64 codons are possible. And if you look this table now, UUU, UUC, UUA, UUG, CUU, CUC, CUA, CUG. This among these, the first two they code for phenylalanine and this other codes for leucine. And this code for isoleucine, this codes for methionine, this all codes for valine, this code for serine. That means we are talking about the 20 different amino acids, but there are 64 codons. That means there are more than one codons to code the same amino acid. Phenylalanine 2 codon, leucine 6 codon, isoleucine 3 codon. But you can see to code for methionine there is one codon, and to code for tryptophan there is one codon. Except for this methionine and tryptophan, there are multiple codons to code for a single amino acid. Okay, I think you know how to read this table. First position, second position, third position. Okay, now let's see in the case of methionine. We all know that this methionine is the start codon. First letter A, second U, third is G. This is how this is arranged. AUG. This is the methionine. Okay, among the 64 codons, there are 3 stop codons: UAA, UAG, UGA. Sorry. If you subtract 3 from 64, that means there are 61 codons which code for the amino acids. How many amino acids? 20 amino acids. Because these 3 do not code for any amino acids, and whenever they come in a sequence, then the protein synthesis will end. That means 64 different codons are possible. 64 different triplet codons are possible from 4 different nucleotide bases. And among 64 codons, 3 are the stop codons. That's why the 61 are the coding codons. Is code for the amino acids. Now this is genes. This is the DNA molecule and this part is the gene. Now from here we are showing the mRNA and we have to read from 5 prime to 3 prime direction. Now CCA, CAG, this is just as an example, UGG, AGU, CGA, CAU, okay. And like this it goes. But it goes continues from the 5 prime to the 3 prime, and this is the collection of codons. Now one picture is deleted. So okay. 5 prime to this collection of codons. Actually, one picture has to be there. Picture, I don't know why it's not shown. Okay, there is no other pictures. We'll come again and discuss with the picture. Okay, the one picture is missing. Now the termination or stop codons, you know, this 64 codons, 3 are the termination or the stop codons. They are termination codes, and when one of them appear in mRNA sequence, it indicates the finishing of protein synthesis. Now we'll go to the characteristics of characteristics of genetic code. Code is triplet. We have already seen is 3 nucleotide codon in mRNA specifies 1 amino acid. Next one is the universality. That means the same codons are used for the same amino acids in all living organisms, prokaryotics and eukaryotics. It has been conserved during the course of evolution. However, there is exception. We will not go to the exception much. We say that the genetic code is triplet, that is a triplet codon, and they are universal in nature, either of eukaryotic or of prokaryotic, that is from lower animals to higher animals. This is the universal. That means the same genetic codes for the same amino acids. However, there are exceptions. As you can see, AUA codes for methionine in mitochondria, but this codes isoleucine in the cytoplasm. But generally, one code codes for the same amino acid. There are some exceptions. Just like AUA codes for methionine in mitochondria and isoleucine in cytoplasm. But leaving a few exceptions, all the genetic code for the same amino acids, either in lower or in higher organisms, whether in mitochondria or in the cytoplasm. You know that little DNA is present in the mitochondria of eukaryotes. So this exception is like this here. Mitochondria is mentioned. Now the specificity. The genetic code is specific. That is specific codon always code for the same amino acid. Here we are talking about the universality. That means same codons are present from the lower to higher organisms. And here the specificity. That means they are not exactly the same, but the points are similar. The genetic code is specific. That is specific codon always code for the same amino acids. Now next one is non-overlapping. Genetic codon is read from a fixed point as a continuous base sequence. It is non-overlapping, commaless, and without any punctuations. We have said that it is read from the 5' end to the 3' end, and there is non-overlapping. That means we have to read it continuous on a continuous basis. Genetic codon is read from the fixed point as a continuous base sequence. It is non-overlapping, commaless, and without any punctuations. Now next one is degeneracy or the redundancy. It is also explained as the redundancy or the degeneracy. Sorry. The genetic code is degenerate. That is, although each codon corresponds to single amino acid, one amino acid may have more than one codons, and this is known as the degeneracy or the redundancy. Example, arginine has 6 different codons. You can examples from that table. The genetic code is degenerate. The genetic code is degenerate or degeneracy of the genetic code means although each codon always corresponds to a single amino acid, but one amino acid may have more than one codon. This is known as the degeneracy of the genetic code. Degeneracy of the genetic code because there are 64 different triplet codons. That means 64 different code words. And among those 64, 3 are the stop codons. Now coding codons are 61, and those 61 codons code for only 20 amino acids. That means for a particular amino acids there are more than one codon. This is known as degeneracy. Although each codon corresponds to single amino acid, one amino acid may have more than one codons, then this is known as the degeneracy. Next is the code has stop and start signals. Code has start and stop signals. You know, AUG codes for methionine and N is the usual start signal. You know that AUG is the starting codon, and this AUG codes for methionine. You all know that AUG is the starting codon and it codes for methionine. And here you also have to remember that it means all the proteins are having methionine at the first position. That is not true. AUG is the starting codon. It codes for protein synthesis, but later on there are modifications, and in most of the cases this initial part is deleted. That's why all the proteins will not have the coded by the AUG, that is the methionine. If AUG is always the starting codon and there is no post-translational modification, then in that case, all the protein would have methionine as the first amino acid, but this is not true because of post-translational modifications. Okay, now code has a start and stop signals. You know. Now the other important is UVAL occurs in tRNA anticodon. Sorry. Okay, these characteristics by name itself we are known earlier also, except for the last one we studied now. Codon is the triplet codon. Genetic code that is universal in nature. It is specific. It is non-overlapping. It is degenerate, and code has stop and start signals. Next is the UVAL occurs in tRNA anticodon. That is the third base is less constrained and pairs less specifically. Actually, there is the pairing has to follow the Watson and pair base pairing rules, but in this case, third base it may not follow the Watson and Crick base pairing, but there occurs a UVAL base pairing. This is known as also known as the UVAL hypothesis. That means UVAL occurs in tRNA anticodon. Okay, we'll see what UVAL hypothesis is. UVAL hypothesis was proposed by Francis and Crick in 1966. Occurs at the 3' end of the codon. That means codon is always read from the 5' to the 3' end. 3' end of the codon means the third letter of the triplet codon. Occurs at the 3' end of the codon. That is, if 3' end of the codon means 5' end of the anticodon, and this anticodon is present in tRNA. The result of arrangement of hydrogen bonds of base pairs at the third position, resulting because of the hydrogen bonds, they are not always specific, but they can other base pairs also can make a pair. Most of the cases, what we know is base pairing is the Watson and Crick base pairing. That means purine pairing with the pyrimidine, adenine pairing with thymidine or uracil, and guanosine pairing with cytosine. Here, not only this pairing will occur, but pairing different from this also occur. That means the specific pairing is not required on the third position of the codon. Third position of the codon, that is 3' end of the codon, because the codon is read from the 5' end. Okay, this result degeneracy of the code is such that will always result in translation of the same amino acids. That means first two letters of the genetic code, triplet genetic code, they are very much important, but the third one is not that important because in the third case, pairing is also not that perfect. This is what UVAL hypothesis says. Complete set of codons can be read by fewer than 61 transfer RNAs. If there is a perfect pairing in the third position also, that means to read the 61 different coding codons, 61 different transfer RNAs should also be present here. But this is not the case. There are very few transfer RNAs, and regarding in the cytoplasm in humans, around 31 transfer RNAs are there. That means that 31 transfer RNAs read for 61 codons. If all are specific, then there should have been 61 different transfer RNAs, but it is not the case. There are only 31 transfer RNAs. This is due to the fact that the third base in the codon often fails to recognize the specific complementary base anticodon. UVAL hypothesis thus explains the degeneracy of the genetic code. Now we'll see with the help of picture it will be work. Now let's see. What UVAL hypothesis says is that this is the mRNA. This is read from 5' to 3' direction, and this is its sequence. Now let's see, this sequence is UCC, or its sequence in the other case UCU. In both of the cases, the same T transfer RNA will combine or will attach with this mRNA. That means we know that U pairs with A, C pairs with G. But however, in some case, this U can also pair with G. C, we all know that C pairs with G, but U also can pair with G, and this is known as the Ubel hypothesis. That means in the third position that Watson and Crick base pairing does not follow. This is the third base pairing. That's why though there are 64 minus 3, 61 different coding codons, but transfer RNA are not that much. If we take the example in the cytoplasm, there are only 33 or 31. There are only 31 transfer RNAs. These 31 transfer RNAs can attach. That means can show specificity with 64 different codons because of the third position. Because pairing in the third position is not that perfect, or it should not always match the Watson and Crick base pairing. Okay, now in which case it should not match, let's see. Okay, in 3' codon, this is the codon U or C, either U or C, it can pair with G. We all know that G pairs with C and U pairs with A. We all know that. And in the other case, A or G also can pair with U. And also AUC, this can pair with inosine. If inosine is present in the prime end of transfer RNA, this can pair. This is known as the Ubel hypothesis. What Ubel hypothesis is? Ubel hypothesis is the one which explains the degeneracy of the genetic code, and this explains why very less transfer RNAs, that is 31 transfer RNAs, can bind with 61 different codons in mRNA, because the pairing in the third position is not that specific. Okay, let's see here. Now these are two different transfer RNAs, as you can see, and this codon are also different. CUC and here CUU. Whether this third position is U or this third position is C, it is pairing with the G. That means in both the cases it is forming the leucine, and this is known as the degeneracy of the genetic code. That means more than one code for the same amino acid, CUC as well as CUU, both code for the leucine, because both fits with the transfer RNA with this anticodon. This is about the Ubel hypothesis. Okay. Characteristics of the genetic code. That means the Ubel hypothesis, or the Ubels occur in transfer RNA anticodon. That means the matching at the third position of the codon in mRNA is not that specific or not that perfect. That means it is not always Watson and pair base pairing, but there is other type of base pairing known as Ubel base pairing. It is also known as Ubel base pairing, and in that Ubel base pairing, always that Watson and Crick base pairing is not required. It is less specific, and this explains the degeneracy of the genetic code, and also the less number of transfer RNA can work for 61 different codons. Okay, now let's see here. This is cytosine and guanine, uracil and adenine. This is the general base pairing. However, what is this? Okay. However, this uracil can also pair with guanine. Uracil can also pair with guanine. This is known as the Ubel pairing. And also cytosine can pair with inosine. Uracil can pair with inosine, and adenine can pair with inosine. This we have also shown examples here. This is about the Ubel hypothesis. This is all about the genetic code. And in our next classes, we'll start with replication, transcription, translation, genetic disorders, and others. If you have any question, I think most of the terms are already familiar with you, except for the Ubel cases. If you have any questions, you can unmute your mic. or you can put the questions in the chat box. Okay, if you have any questions, you can simply unmute your mic and ask. Okay.